What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon Tynes.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? And Daniel Acevedo.
I'm back. Let's do it. Let's go.
What's going on? So Chris was unable to make it this week. He's a little under the weather. As you can hear, I am also under the weather, but he's got to deal with it, right? So please continue to tune in. Again, we're having like this huge surgence of traffic the past couple of months, and we greatly appreciate it. So I just don't want it to go away. So please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit up on the platforms that go by our name, The Other Side of the Firewall, The Other Side of the FW, or Ask a CISSP. This will be the beginning of season 3. You're like, what is season 3? So season 3, I like to shift the seasons when we have new avenues to showcase the platforms. This is the first week where we're going to be on 99.1 FM out there in the Atlanta metro area, as well as channel 10 in the Fairfax, DC area. So definitely super excited. Welcoming new audience members, as well as thank you to the ones who've been here from day one for getting us where we're currently at. So without further ado, I give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. So this article actually comes from darkreading.com. And it's written by Becky Bracken. And the title of this one is Russian Trolls Poses Reputable Media to Sow U.S. Election Chaos. So we've been through this before, right? Where we come to Russian meddling when it comes to like election interference and misinformation, disinformation, things of that nature. Well, they're back at it again, and they're getting a little bit better at it, right? So what they're doing is, we've talked about it on the show before. We talk about, fact checking, going to proper sources and things of that nature. Where they're getting smart is that they're even starting to spoof those, right? They're saying, okay, we know people are going to start fact checking now, right? Like they caught us in 2016, so we're going to get a little bit better at it, right? 8 years later, that's a lot of time to get it right, I guess you could say, right? But so what they're doing is they're and again, in this day and age, it's a lot easier with AI and getting smarter, and it's just lesson learned, right? Like, so in the military, we all know we have our after action reports, right? So they probably had something out there where they were like, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is our campaign. What's our after action? What's our AAR for this, right? What's our after action report? And like I said, they're just getting better. They're getting better at putting the real logos on things for legitimate media sources and things of that nature. So it's getting harder for you to try to determine what is actually fake news out there. And it's just one of those things where this is what we have to be on the lookout for, right? So I tell my wife this all the time, right? Whenever she tries to find information, I say, find it in at least 3 spots, right? I tell her whenever she looks something up, don't just go by the first one you see and be like, okay, that's it, right? Like, find it in 3 spots and make sure they're somewhat close in what they're saying, right? But Russian trolls, they're getting better at this, man. So people out there, be careful, okay? Just make sure you're looking at multiple sources to try to weed out what may be fake out there. You know what I'm saying? They're getting better at this. You know what I'm saying? But Daniel, what's your thoughts on this?
Man, we've talked about this in other episodes a lot, for a lack of better words, this is kind of the new, right? This is kind of the society we're living in, where, social media has opened the door to this platform of misinformation. There's always been misinformation, especially in politics and in war and in governance, but the level and the easiness that it's at right now is at all-time high, and it's just going to get worse. I don't know if there's just an inefficiency or a lack of manual and automated checks in social media platforms for information, or there's just too much information to, filter. I don't know where the crux of the issue is actually stemming from, but I don't know if the onus will be on the platforms that allow these things to get posted, or if the government is going to start intruding into putting harsher, regulations on these things. And we've seen it with, Twitter or, no, not Twitter. Is it Twitch, TikTok? Which one am I thinking about that they moved it off the US? TikTok of ByteDance. Then there's a huge pushback from there because, the general populace is like, hey, why is the US intruding on these things that it's just, social media platform. There's a lot, social networking and people out there making money off of it. But us in the community, and then even in the intelligence community, even more so than us, knows the dangers that are there. And I think, when it comes to the political campaigns and these things, this can really sway things in the wrong direction. And there's very little that the normal person can do to know what's real and what's not real. So I see that's the trend of where this is going to go. I just don't know the back and forth between the government, if they're even going to put the onus on like the Twitters and the Facebooks and the Instagrams of the world to, hey, put better protections in place to, figure out if these things are legitimate, are they nation state, sourcing, how things are posted, how things are pushed out into the interweb and into society as a whole. Shane, you want to say something? Go for it.
I do. So like, here's the thing. I agree with what you're saying, but then you go into that fine line of crossing to where people that are getting some of that information are like, well, is the government interfering at that point, right? Because we're starting to see that now. Where like, did the government interfere and say you can only have these things on there? Was the fact checking legitimate, or was it this? Was it that? That's what you kind of run into when you do that. But I agree with you. I'm with you on let's do that.
We'll agree in our community because of our backgrounds and stuff like that. And, we're talking about cybersecurity and what we want out of the better of society. But there will be always that, hey, this is the freedom of speech. This is my avenue to make money or to make a better place for my family and for myself. But Ryan, I don't know. Do you think that the government would push back on this, or what do you think this is actually going to go towards?
So I think it's going to be a combination, right? So please continue to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Hit all the platforms that go by our name, all that rigmarole. So disinformation will be our downfall. It is the new weapon of mass destruction, in my opinion, right? So you see movies like Leave the World Behind with Mahershala Ali, where that's the beginning of the end, right? That's how they get to us, because we outspend the rest of the world on the military, right? Like our budget for the Department of Defense laps the world a couple of times. So how do you get to us? You get to our people, you make them believe that the enemy is in the house. You know what I mean? The calls come from inside, and that'll be our ultimate downfall, unfortunately. So it is a weird balance. Like, you don't want the government to be too heavy-handed, because then now you're China, right? Where social media is, restricted. You have the great, firewall, and you just don't get a lot of information in, and the government uses that to their advantage. However, you don't want people to just be able to spread bad information and then cause civil unrest, riots. You can even cause people to harm themselves, or to, just destroy morale. Cyberbullying to a huge scale. So there has to be a balance, and I think they're getting better at it. But the ultimate tool, I think, is going to be AI, right? So when I go to the dumpster fire that is Twitter, or when I go to Facebook, there are now challenges to articles and things of that nature, and it says like, hey, this information is not correct. This is where it really came from. There's some kind of fact check. I believe a lot of it is human intervention, as well as there's some AI tools that are helping to source the actual where this information is coming from. Because right now there's a campaign out there besmirching Tim Walz. Like, I don't really know much about the guy, but it's literally lying about criminal activity he committed early in his career.
Mm-hmm.
And this is their way of getting in and saying, okay, be careful who you vote for. It's have doubts within this candidate. It's, it starts off with the trolls, and then it leads into somebody taking charge on the U.S. side and saying, like, we have to stop this, stop the steal, and yada, 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 right? So it's definitely something that has to be checked, especially during political season, but I don't know how that's going to happen.
Yeah. And to be fair, it's not just on the Democratic side too, right? So JD Vance has caught some of these strays too, right? Like he's doing stuff with couches and all that, right? So yeah, it's very prevalent out there right now with stuff like that, and it's easy because people aren't willing. If they already have a preconceived notion of things, they're not willing to look at it and question it.
Yeah, especially if you're feeding someone who's in a silo, right? Like they have this very myopic view about something, and then they're getting confirmation bias, saying like, yeah, I was, I'm correct, or what have you. So I mean, as a person, as an intelligent person, you should be checking multiple sources for any of your news. But also, just don't feed the trolls. Like, don't argue with people on the internet, because some of them are doing it out of pleasure, and others are doing it out of this maliciousness. There's very few people who are going to sit there and argue with you on the internet. So if this person's going back and forth with you, they might not be real. So disengage.
Yep.
But with all that being said, please continue to tune in. So again, on Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays Ask a CISSP. I have one in production, but I don't think it'll be up this week. And then Fridays, everything else, movies, books, games, all that good stuff. Hit up all the websites to go by our name. You can get me personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy on LinkedIn. That's RYRY Security Guy. On pretty much every social media platform, but LinkedIn is where I really do a lot of talking. And then you, Daniel, where can they find you?
On LinkedIn under my name, Daniel Acevedo.
There it is. Stay safe, stay secure.